Look at this number, $765 million. That's not a movie budget. It's not the GDP of a small country. It is the guaranteed, cold hard cash handed to one man, Juan Soto. But here's the crazy part. That record contract? It's not even the most interesting deal in baseball, not even close. Because to understand a $765 million contract, you have to realize that the real money game in Major League Baseball is played by accountants, tax lawyers, and financial engineers, and they are all wildly creative. This isn't just about a salary. It's about how baseball went from giving a $300 mustache bonus to signing deals that literally outrank global soccer superstars. And it all starts with one man, and a number that broke the sound barrier. For decades, the MLB contract landscape evolved slowly, but recently we hit what I call the financial Big Bang. It was a two-step process. Step 1, Shohei Ohtani. A contract so big, $700 million over 10 years, it reset the scale for every athlete in the world. He set the gold standard for what a superstar is worth annually. His average annual value, or AAV, is an astronomical $70 million. That AAV is the true measure of immediate value, the one teams care about for payroll purposes. Step 2, Juan Soto. He immediately blew past Ohtani in total value, signing for $765 million over 15 years with the Mets. Soto got this deal because he hit the open market at the remarkably young age of 26, meaning the Mets bought what is projected to be 15 years of his prime. It's a massive bet against the biggest enemy of a long-term contract, age-related decline. They're buying youth, plain and simple. They're willing to spend crazy money to snag a guy who debuted as a teen, completely bypassing that cliff, the age curve, that veterans usually tumble over when they hit free agency in their 30s. And get this, those $700 million contracts, they now dwarf the guaranteed money of massive soccer deals, like Cristiano Ronaldo's $710 million. Why? Because the MLB contract is fully guaranteed due to their length and nature, unlike many high-bonus soccer deals. But the Ohtani deal is not just big, it's a financial Trojan horse, and that will bring us to the wildest part of the story. But before, a quick reminder of the past to see how insane is the speed at which these numbers are growing. It didn't just happen overnight. The whole thing was unleashed by the death of the reserve clause in 1975. Let's do a quick history of hyperinflation. The financial floodgates didn't just open, they exploded. In 1975, we saw the first major breakthrough. The legendary pitcher Catfish Hunter was the pioneer, becoming the very first player to sign a contract valued at over $1 million in total money. But that milestone was quickly eclipsed. Just 5 years later, in 1980, the Ryan Express, Nolan Ryan, secured a deal that made him the first player to achieve a staggering $1 million average annual salary. The next barrier fell in 1999, a full 19 years later, when we finally hit the 9-figure mark. Kevin Brown signed a landmark 7-year, $105 million contract with the Dodgers. That was a huge jump, but the market was just getting warmed up. The financial ambition was truly redefined in 2001, the start of the A-Rod era. Alex Rodriguez shattered all expectations with a jaw-dropping 10-year, $252 million deal with the Texas Rangers. This was, at the time, the largest contract in North American sports history, and the ultimate display of financial power. A-Rod famously opted out of that record deal in 2007, only to immediately sign an even larger contract with the Yankees for 10 years and $275 million. But the pace is what's terrifying. It took 16 years to go from $200 million to $300 million. It took only 4 years to jump to $400 million with Mike Trout. And now, just 5 years later, we're at $765 million. This geometric progression is driven by massive TV deals and team valuations. Basically, the old record high is now the new starting price for any top-tier talent. But how do you sign the biggest contract in history without crippling your team's ability to sign other players? You do the Ohtani Gambit. Teams are now deploying complex mechanisms like deferred compensation to manage regulatory constraints, specifically the competitive balance tax. This tax, the CBT, is MLB's soft salary cap. For example, the threshold was $237 million in 2024, $241 million in 2025, and is set to increase to $244 million in 2026. Teams that exceed an annual payroll threshold face brutal penalties, up to 50% for repeat offenders. The key? The CBT hit is calculated on a contract's average annual value. Ohtani's $700 million contract has an extreme pay structure. He gets only $2 million per year during his playing years. The remaining $680 million is heavily deferred, paid out from 2034 to 2043. Because that $680 million is deferred for so long, the league values it not at its nominal total, but at its net present value. This financial engineering means that for CBT purposes, the $700 million deal only counts as a $460 million deal. This structure saved the Dodgers an estimated $240 million in tax payments and gave them the flexibility to sign other stars, like Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The main goal of this whole convoluted deal wasn't cash flow relief, it was a masterful lesson in regulatory relief. Oh, and one more thing. That deferred $680 million? By the time those payments start in 2034, Ohtani may have retired and moved out of California. That would allow him to potentially escape California's highest state income tax rate of 14.4%, a personal tax optimization strategy worth tens of millions of dollars. So is a $765 million contract a good investment? The ultimate test is the return on investment. And these deals are high-stakes gambles, betting hundreds of millions against the certainty of age and injury. Let's start with the disasters, the flops. Mega contracts that extend into a player's late 30s often become huge liabilities. The contemporary poster child for catastrophic contract failure is Anthony Rendon. He signed a 7-year, $245 million deal with the Angels. Since 2021, he's been paid over $141 million, but has produced so little that the team has essentially paid a staggering $95 million per single unit of wins above replacement. That is a brutal negative ROI. Other famous examples of that painful decline are the second chapters of these iconic careers. Alex Rodriguez with the Yankees, Miguel Cabrera in Detroit, Prince Fielder's injury-plagued run, and Albert Pujols in Anaheim. These deals turned into colossal guaranteed payments for post-prime production. These players were all future Hall of Famers when they signed, but their massive contracts locked teams into paying hundreds of millions for their twilight years. We're talking about guaranteed money for players who were either battling season-ending injuries, like Fielder's chronic neck issues, which ended his career early, or simply aging out of their prime, leaving teams on the hook for massive paychecks just to cover years of below-average performance. It proves the old adage, in baseball, a long-term contract is less of an investment and more of a deeply expensive mortgage on a house that you know is going to need major repairs. On the flip side, some players prove to be physical outliers who defy age curves and justify the price tag. You have Mike Trout, who was the first $400 million player. Even when you factor in his injuries, he still remains the active career leader in wins above replacement, meaning he's delivered more value than anyone else currently playing. Then there's Mookie Betts, signed for $365 million. He has been an absolute steal for the Dodgers, maintaining elite MVP-level play year after year, and of course Aaron Judge. The Yankees made a massive $360 million bet on him, and he has paid off spectacularly, arguably establishing himself as the single best hitter in all of baseball since 2021. These guys are the evidence that, occasionally, these giant contracts aren't just mortgages on the future, they're investments in pure, guaranteed excellence. The lesson? The long-term contract is a bet against age. Teams are desperate to secure enough elite performance in the first half of the contract to offset the high probability of decline in the second. Before we talk about the $1 billion threshold, let's talk about the really fun stuff. The bizarre, personalized contract clauses that show just how much leverage a star has. Let's start with the mustache bonus. Back in 1972, A's owner Charlie Finley offered a $300 bonus to anyone who grew a mustache. Raleigh Fingers then got a clause in his contract for a $300 bonus just for maintaining his famous facial hair. Then there is the impossible incentive. Designated hitter Adam Dunn, known for his defensive limitations, had a $25,000 bonus for winning a Gold Glove. It was a virtually unattainable goal. We can also mention the equestrian expense account. Matt Williams' contract with the Diamondbacks included a yearly payment of $250,000, specifically to fund his wife's expensive equestrian career. The contract even listed the names of the horses receiving the money. Yes, my name is Bob and Rehigh Lux. And finally, the edible bonus. Astros reliever Charlie Kerfeld once negotiated his salary to match his jersey number, $110,037.37 plus 37 boxes of orange Jell-O. These crazy details confirm that contract negotiation is a catch-all for personalized demands. But the real question is, after $765 million, will we see the first $1 billion contract? The path to a 10-figure deal seems inevitable if media rights continue to climb exponentially. It would likely take a player who combines Ohtani's global appeal and skill with Juan Soto's rare extreme youth upon hitting free agency. What do you think? Who will be the first $1 billion player? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see other dives into baseball, hit that subscribe button.